Boy, we've had some great driving games on the PC Engine lately. And here comes S.C.I, a port of Taito's arcade sequel to their smash hit Chase HQ. I'm sure it's gonna be great. Oh. S.C.I was a really big hit in arcades for Taito. It was one of the top grossing arcade games of 1990. Okay, that wasn't the greatest year for arcade games, but being up at the top was still pretty good. As an arcade game, S.C.I is so close to Chase HQ that I'm not even going to bother showing Chase HQ footage. Just imagine this with slightly less detailed graphics. For the home port, Taito turned to one of their pet developers, Daisei Sakusho. They had been making home ports for Taito for a while, including the PC Engine port of Chase HQ, so they probably even reused their code for this game. The concept for S.C.I is that you're a pair of cops on the edge. In fact, the same cops from Chase HQ who were transparently borrowed from Miami Vice. On every stage, Not Crockett and Not Tubbs get a call that there's a perp on the road, and then they take off driving. Once they catch up to that person, they need to damage their vehicle enough that they'll pull over. You do that by ramming your car into them, or the new addition for S.C.I, one of them can lean out the window and start shooting. Once the criminals have stopped, you get a bonus for your remaining time, and then you go do it again. The other big change for S.C.I, besides the shooting, is the variety of terrain that you drive through. A lot of the roads have cliff edges with no guardrails. Now that would already be a bit of a challenge, but it seems like this game takes place on St. Patrick's Day, because every driver on the road is drunk as hell. They're swerving all over the place, ramming you off the road, protecting the car that you're chasing. The traffic here is frustrating in a way that I'm pretty confident wasn't intended. And I think it comes down to three primary problems. First, the roads are too narrow and the hitboxes are too big. Most of the highways you drive down are 3 lanes across, and there's barely enough room for a single car in a lane, which means if somebody is splitting lanes, then you could be losing up to half the road for a safe driving area. The narrow roads and large hitboxes make the second problem even worse. Other traffic, including the car that you're chasing, can freely pass through each other. If 2 cars are on the road and they're moving at different speeds, they can effectively wall you off. And when you reach the car you're chasing, there's not enough room on the road for everybody. They'll pass through the chase car and block your shots. And the final problem is that there's very few scaled sizes for the traffic. It seems to be half as many as the car that you're chasing, which enhances the scaling problems. Because there's so few drawings, it's very difficult to tell how close you are to a car in traffic. All this adds up to a situation that just drains the fun out of this game. Obviously, you want there to be other cars on the road. You need stuff to dodge, obstacles that you have to work around. The situation comes together in S.C.I to make everything more frustrating than it should be. There are a couple more gameplay elements to go over. You have a turbo boost that you can use. These are most useful for getting back up to speed after you've crashed out. And on later stages, a helicopter will drop a bazooka for you. That'll give you 5 powerful shots that do extra damage. You also wind up fighting the helicopter, and the best way to deal with it is to ram your car into it. Maybe just fly away, guys. S.C.I gives you your choice of control schemes. You can either have acceleration on the D-pad, or you can have it on button 2. I strongly recommend that you go for the latter, even though it places turbo on the select button. Having the accelerator on up is just going to make you hurt your thumb. If the timer runs out and hits 0, then you can continue picking up right from where you left off, and it just gives you more time on the clock. You can do this 3 times before you run out of credits. Since your score is primarily based on how much time you have left when you end the stage, if you're playing for score, then the continue will boost it quite a bit. In 1991, we're in the era where scores are still done out of the sake of tradition, but have stopped mattering to home players. Still, letting the score ramp up like that feels wrong. There are 6 stages in S.C.I, but the 6th and final stage is just a flat-out run to a building. No other vehicles on the road, no criminal you're chasing down, just drive to the end in a minute or less. Japanese players don't seem to be too fond of this version of S.C.I. I saw a few people call it too difficult, although I beat the game in less than half an hour, despite never playing this version before. Another person said the port was disappointing. I think my own feelings here are clear at this point. I like the arcade version of Chase HQ, and I don't think I've ever played a good home port of it. S.C.I. I played a lot less of in the arcades, and this version isn't doing it any favors. I mean, the nicest thing I can say about S.C.I. is that it's short, so at least you don't have to play it for very long.